Hi, it's Tim Michelle Birdsong, Eve, mother of all living, daughter of the sun, mainstreaming clues to the marginalized, mainstreaming clues to you. This is part 3 of Eve Shares. Dr. Shiva shares Truth of Virus. Eve says, my videos do not sneak and hypnotize you like the slow, steady flicker of television does, and the steady, scripted speech of news readers and actors on television. Your mind is still your own when you watch my videos. To watch Dr. Shiva's interview for yourself, Google exclusive. Top Doctor exposes everything the deep state is trying to keep from you. And it's at the Next News Network YouTube channel. The interview of Dr. Shiva, and that's his last name, Ayyadurai. C. Is that a C? I think it's just AI. Okay, so let's move along. I took notes. I watched the entire interview and I took notes. This is where we're headed, he says. That's from part 2. This is what people need to wake up to. We're working class people out here. We create, this is Dr. Shiva talking. We create stuff. This election in Massachusetts, everyone should get behind it, whether you give $1, $2, whether you want to donate to us. By the way, Gary is the one interviewing Dr. Shiva. I hate taking money from people without giving something. I know people work hard for their money like my parents did. When people give $25 or more, he's talking about to a Senate campaign. That's Shiva, SHIVA 4, Senate, the number 4, Shiva, the number 4, Senate.com. When people give $25 or more, I've created a book which shows how their body works. They'll have a tool so they can understand their particular body type, and they can figure out how food manipulates their bodies. So if you go to his website and click on donate, you'll see the book right there. The deep state has always wanted to consolidate power, profit, and control. Everyone's guaranteed. No, everyone's quarantined. They have the economy by the short hairs. And the goal is to put everything they want in the stimulus package. What they're talking about is nationalization of companies. Marx and Engels talked about this. That's the communists. The Marxists are the ones that have taken away all the freedoms, because what they're talking about, the state merging with the heads of, is the state merging with the heads of industry. This is China 2.0. In many ways, Gary, what I feel is going on, we're going to become a colony of China. He says, I hope we remain number 1 in the world and India number 2. Made in China, says Dr. Shiva, means the essence of China's being exported here. What is China? It's nationalization. It's not workers' control. It's fake workers' power. If you want real workers' power, it's bottom up. You decentralize things. People should read Marx. He talks about the people who sit on the sidelines and collect welfare checks, the criminals, don't do any work. But he distinguishes that between people who actually produce value. Note from Eve: after my first husband, Edwin Birdsong, abandoned the family, my Satsangi friend took me to welfare office. That's Shatima. Her name was Shatima Bird at the time. I was on welfare for about a year. I did plenty of work cultivating my children, taking them to school, to parks, to libraries, to spiritual meetings on Sundays, reading to them, cooking for them, washing their clothes, etc. I produced something of value. My son Singh Birdsong has skills as a musician and recording engineer. My daughter Robin Michelle Birdsong has her master's degree in psychology, and she's a very good astrologer. My youngest daughter Melanie Lynn Spear brought 4 saints into the world, she being the goddess of fertility, Isis. I went back to school, Sunni Empire, in my 60s, completed my studies, and got a Bachelor of Science degree in creative writing, which I am doing for you now. It was a toss-up between creative writing and psychology. I, with the guidance of Jesus Christ, being Maraji Charan Singh, now being Baba Gurinder Singh Dillon, whose photograph you're looking at, guided me to create Talk and Share Therapy, a therapy that really works in conjunction with psychoanalysis, I being Freud and Dr. Fritz Perls. Marxist, okay, now this is Dr. Shiva talking, after I've shown you that we're a productive family. Now Dr. Shiva says, Marxists have elevated the Lombard proletariat to mean workers. The people who do nothing, produce nothing, including themselves, lawyers, politicians, that's who they want to fund. Why don't they apply this to universities? Start with MIT, Yale, and Stanford. Why don't we have the students be running those universities? The citizens, MIT and Harvard, stole. MIT didn't pay any property tax. $15 billion hedge funds. I'm talking about those entities because those entities are the ones coming up with these idiotic ideas. Eve notes Dr. Thomas Sowell, being Frederick Douglass, once a student at Harvard, said, "There's a saying, anytime there's a mess, there's a Harvard man involved in it." Gary said, "We've touched on so many points that are critical in American history. We've been going over 80 minutes. This was supposed to be a 30-minute interview." Dr. Shiva, before we go, do you have any final thoughts? Dr. Shiva says the academics try to make things so complicated. The essence to me is when you remove all the BS and you distill it to something so simple like the triangle. He says his 3rd grade teacher taught him to be simple. Freedom to truth, we can figure out. Health. Freedom, truth, health. Only when we're healthy do we have the warrior spirit to fight for our freedom, says Dr. Shiva. Eve said, I include mentally healthy in the health. Thank God for talk and share therapy. Dr. Shiva said, you try to look people up. You try to control dissent. Is that lock people up? Yeah. Dr. Shiva said, you try to lock people up. He's talking to the deep state. Oops. You try to control dissent. You try to give false narratives. Move everything to scientific consensus, away from scientific method, which is happening right now. By that, you suffocate truth. And when you suffocate truth, you get fake problems and fake solutions. Gun violence. Guns kill people. It's not true. There are many factors. We suffocate truth. We have fake scientists who create fake solutions which actually harm our health. This phenomenon pollutes everything. You have unhealthy people who don't want to fight. They want free stuff. They're ready to be autonomous machines. Automatons, machines. I've gotten thousands of calls since I put that tweet out, but the people who get it are all people who do something with their hands, plumbers, electricians, or they actually create something. Eve says, count me in. I created Talk and Share Therapy with the guidance of God, and I'm going to contribute to Dr. Shiva's Senate campaign if there continues to be a Senate, a Congress. Dr. Shiva says the typical MD doesn't make anything. The typical lawyer doesn't make anything. Gender studies is really not learning much. But people who have skills, they're really our future. They see the climate change, CO2 hoax. They see this whole thing's a hoax. So the opportunity that I appreciate you letting people know about our campaign. The Shiva for Senate campaign is our campaign. It's your campaign. It'll be like taking a stake and plunging it into the vampire of the deep state. It'll be a victory for all of us. That's why we all need to get behind what's going on here and all the amazing volunteers that are coming up from all parts of the country to help our campaign. It'll be a huge victory for all of us. Gary says, we definitely need you in the Senate, Dr. Shiva. Okay, so that's the end of part 3. I hope you listen to the entire interview, and I hope you realize when you watch television, you're being sneakily hypnotized. Okay, that's why it's so difficult to wake people up. They're not just asleep, they're hypnotized. You hear me, Candace Owens? You're talking to hypnotized people. Okay, this is T. Michelle Birdsong, Eve, mother of all living, daughter of the sun. Mainstreaming close to you. So long.